Hi guys, I'm Amy Gadiaga. I'm a composer, vocalist, and bass player, and today we're going to look at how to keep inspired. For me, keeping inspired is very crucial as a musician. I know that a lot of people rely on discipline, which is amazing, but I'm too sensitive for that. So I have to have a deeper, connection with what I do in order to do it every day. If you don't do it, no one's going to force you to do it. You have to find it in yourself and have a deeper why. And knowing how to keep getting inspired in order to keep going because it's stuff out there. There are many ways you can get inspired, and it's a very personal journey. But here are 4 tips that I constantly use to get myself there. Tip number 1, go to museums and art exhibitions. So you could try and find an art gallery or a museum near where you live. Often, these places are free if you are under 26. For me, it's very important to be in contact with the art. I grew up with a dad who's very much into fine art as he studied urbanism, and he also worked at Centre Pompidou, which is a museum in France. And I started to work there from the age of 16, so I would spend all my summers around fine arts, which I went on to study a bit later on. Fine arts for me is like food for my eyes, so I would just absorb the energy of what the artist tried to convey on their piece, because as a musician, even though you don't feel like playing sometimes, you will still affect someone positively. But the process of being a fine artist for me can sometimes go deeper, as there's no immediate reward of your piece, and I do want to incorporate that practice into my own music. When I was in high school, there was a biography of Jackson Pollock in the school library. So I picked her up and I spent a year reading it because it was in English and I wasn't fluent yet. After that, I became kind of obsessed with him. So yeah, his process was quite intense. And this is something that I don't really want to recreate when I make music, but it's still very inspiring to see how deep an artist can go into their practice. Tip number 2, go to workshops if you can. I know that living in London, having access to workshops is a huge privilege, and I really do hope that in your area you also would have access to these kind of workshops. When I was learning, I went to Tomorrow's Warriors, which is a jazz workshop for young people. The advantage of Tomorrow's Warriors is that the classes are free, which is absolutely phenomenal. Without that free access to it, I would never have been able to attend as an 18-year-old starting my jazz journey. There, I got to meet like-minded musicians. I also met all of my current friends there, and it totally swayed me to take my jazz journey seriously and to start it at all. So going to these places for you could be a great chance to develop what you already have, start a new journey, and most of all, getting inspired. And now tip number 3, which is my personal favorite, go on YouTube and binge watch your favorite artist. That's a tip that I got recently from one of my best friends. When I was in a rut and didn't really want to do anything, she told me, listen, just go home and watch your favorite bassist, and I'm sure that tomorrow you're going to feel better. And it did work. And that reminded me that when I was younger, that's literally all I was doing in my free time. For instance, I would watch a Janet Jackson interview, then I would watch a live of her, different contexts, the same person. Then you really get a sense of what's their creative process, which is really what interests me. A lot of the time in society, people encourage you to do stuff, but sometimes it's not about doing, but ingesting stuff as well. You can be passive and still learn a lot of things, which is a lot of the things I do. I do listen to a lot of music and ingest a lot of content from my favorite artists, and it's as much valuable as me sitting down and trying to practice. By the way, you can also check out the next tutorial in which I talk about the artist that deeply inspired me. Now the final tip, tip number 4. Try and go to as much live music as you can. Live music never fails to inspire me. There's something about being in the audience and watching someone do their thing that just moves me deeply from an audience perspective, but also as an artist. It can also help me keep motivating in my practice routine. If I go to a show where the bassist really inspire me or the vocalist is amazing, I will definitely go home and write down my goals and everything and get back on track with practicing. I'm aware that it's not always easy to go out, but if you can and when you can, you should definitely go and check out your favorite artists live, because the experience is totally different For instance, I've seen Shingai from The Noisettes recently at the Hammersmith Lyrical Theatre. She was just breathtaking. I do like her songs on record, but the live experience was absolutely incomparable. And I would have never experienced what I experienced just through listening to her music online. So I really encourage you to try and see your favorite artist live if you can. Thank you for watching. In the next tutorial, we're going to talk about the artist that deeply, deeply helped me through my journey. So stay tuned.